You have arrived at your destination.
You are now a loyal follower of the Villain District Podcast.
Okay, guys.
Yeah.
Do something funny.
That's good. That's good. Funny people like it when you demand that they be funny.
Well, it's even worse for improvisers because they're like, tell us a joke. And we're like, we're not stand-up.
Right.
We'll improvise something. We are right now.
That's this
improvise the greatest joke.
Right. The greatest.
If I told my favorite joke, people would get offended.
Really?
Yeah,
You
I
have a
think so.
specific joke
Well,
in your mind?
yeah, it's not mine.
Right,
I didn't
right.
write it,
No. But
but I do have a specific joke
okay.
in mind. But a lot of people would consider it.
Is it the one that started the history of damaged goods?
I don't remember what that.
Remember
joke
the one when we were when it was just me, you, and Gina at that thing?
And they pimped me for a joke on stage.
Yeah.
it's that joke.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is like this is historic. This is part of you.
This is history.
I mean, I guess in a sense, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
kind of. Our first official performance.
I mean,
of
I
this.
don't know
Or
that
unofficial.
we can. I don't know that we can talk about a joke for this long in a podcast episode without telling the joke.
I don't know
what
because, but the thing is now at this point, if nobody else thinks it's funny, I just look like an asshole.
that is true. It's
Yeah.
been built up a lot.
And it's not very PC.
A lot's
No, it's
riding
definitely
on
not.
So you're saying my mom should have to maybe she should earmuffs for a minute.
It's not your mom I'm worried about. It's like a whole group of people.
No, it's like a whole segment of the population. Okay.
Okay, that's fair enough.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Glad you're here.
Glad to be here.
Soups, totes.
2 out of 3.
Two out of three.
2 out of 3.
Shout out to the homeboy Rocky.
Rocky,
There
he's got an emergency. Let's be honest, he's watching NBA.
Okay.
That might
All
be
right.
it. No, that's
All
not
right.
it.
All right.
He wanted to be here. He did. Trust me. But yeah, 2 of the 3. The 2.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the 2 best.
I mean,
Right.
But that would mean Rocky would need to be here and Stefan would need to be gone. So
Oh, I see.
Hey, that
Because
was
I'm the greatest.
I see.
that was funny, right?
But
yeah,
I
there
mean,
it
you
is.
do have the 2 founders.
that's true.
Okay,
Yeah.
you guys are the founders.
That's
You
important.
could say that. Yeah.
I think that's
All right.
important.
So there's some terrible joke that we're not going to hear, and
Oh,
once
man.
that's told, then you guys found it. Then you found damaged goods. Is that it? Have I got the history correct?
The joke is
That's how it happens?
is like the big bang of damage.
Right.
goods.
Yeah, no,
And then
seriously.
Okay.
Like, I had just moved back to Louisville, and we decided to. We used to be in another troupe called NTX Comedy. All of us moved out to LA for 5 days, and it went to shit real bad. And so
That's the truth.
Yeah, and so we all went separate ways. And a few months later, I moved back to Louisville, and Parker and I decided we were going to do something. We just didn't know what.
Yeah.
And he was working with another improv troupe, kind of.
Don't say names.
I'm not going to say names. And they decided to have a improv competition, right? And so Parker said, well, with Stefan being here and our friend Gina, the 3 of us should do something together. And so there were like, what, 3 or 4 teams?
Something like that.
Yeah, there were 3 or 4 teams, and we were killing it. We were doing really, really good, and they were doing all these little competition things, and one of the teams bum rushed Parker in a scene where it was just him and another guy. They all started coming out there, and then they totally pimped him, and he dropped this joke, boom, and it shut him up. And everybody was like, oh! And needless to say, we won the night. I mean,
All right.
It's like serving people.
yeah. And so after that, we were like, we have to put something together. And so, yeah, we added Gina. We used to have a bigger team back in the very beginning. So we reached out to a couple people that we already know. April Singer's one of them from Bagden Board.
Yeah.
And a few of our other friends, and we started Damaged Goods together. And then it, worked its way and evolved into the 3 of us for about 4 years now.
Okay. Nice.
So, but
It was
yeah.
originally supposed to be a side project.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, really?
Because him and I were going to do a 2-man show.
Yeah. And a completely different style of improv. It was going to be long form, where Damaged
Really?
Goods does short form. But then we put Damaged Goods together because we didn't want to lose the aspect of the short form that we love to do. And then that quickly started eating up all of our time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the 2-man show never got off the ground.
No. And I just say it evolved into a 3-man short form show.
Yeah,
So wait, so for ignorant people, like not like me, but let's say like me, give me the talk to me about long form and short form a little bit.
Sure. Short form is more common what you would see on Whose Line Is It Anyways?
Okay.
It's short games, short scenes, usually with some sort of rule to mess things up.
Yeah.
And to have fun, which is really great. We call it the audience long form because they have, the audience improv. They have such a good time.
Right.
Long form is more the master's degree of improv.
Okay.
And it's basically no short scenes. It's a very long play essentially.
okay.
For an hour, people will improvise
Oh, wow.
either scenes or just one long scene.
Yeah. But interconnected.
Interconnected, yeah.
You hope.
You hope.
Yeah, right.
There are types of long forms that don't necessarily connect except for through the theme.
Yeah.
But essentially, there's no host saying, hey, scene, it's all created and, it's one masterpiece together.
Yeah. Right.
And so that's
And
that's
if it's not
essentially
if it's
what long
not
form-
recorded, it's like it only exists there. You
Yes.
know?
in
Yeah.
that moment.
That's
Yep.
great.
Always. Yeah. Even that's what we tell everybody. Welcome. This is the, you're the only people that'll ever see this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to happen one time and that's it.
Is that ever sad though? Like, I mean, I know Damaged Goods does mostly short form stuff, but have you ever done long form stuff and been like, God, I wish we had that?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
In
We-
rehearsals.
Yeah, we dabble a lot. We just, the reason I call it the audience improv is because, the long form isn't nonstop funny.
Sure.
It's not, it can be high energy, but it's more, a thinker's improv. It's a completely different style. It's so much more theatrical, which I want to hit myself because that's what we pride ourselves on, even in short form, is to be more theatrical, but it just is that. And, in long form, you really prefer an applause more than you do a laughter. Because when they're applauding, that means you connected something,
yeah.
they get it, and holy crap, you said this 30 minutes ago, and now it all makes sense.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But in short form, we are high energy. We want to keep
Right.
them rolling and falling and pissing themselves.
Right.
This is essentially what we want to do,
I mean,
Gross.
at the end of the show, if the seats aren't covered in pee and poop,
Right.
Yeah,
we
right.
haven't done our
Yeah,
job.
and that's the thing. It's like my dad. My dad is the perfect example of this. Why I call it the audience improv, because my dad hates long form with an everlasting passion. My dad is a barfly and he has no patience. And so every time we go up to Detroit Improv Festival, for now this will be our 4th year going up, and from Toledo, Ohio, which is 45 minutes south. So my whole family comes out and it's a lot of me's but louder.
Right.
Okay, out there. The first year we were there, they were behind schedule. And so my dad's just bored out of his mind because, you get one laugh every 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And these are half-hour shows.
Yeah.
And my dad's like, Jesus Christ. Can we please get somebody to make me laugh? I will pay any of you $5 to make me laugh. This is no lie.
That's
He's
awesome.
yelling from the
Just
back.
shouting
Wow.
at people.
When are we going to get Damaged Goods up?
Oh yeah.
Oh, good.
And that's when I'm like,
Oh, good.
not
For
with
an
these
hour and a half,
Yeah.
he's yelling at these people, begging them to make him laugh. And every year now, he says, what order are you up in? Are you guys first? Good. As soon as you're done, I'm going outside to go have a beer at the bar next door. If you're last, I'm going to check in an hour.
Yeah.
He refuses. He hates long form so much. And I try, when we go to, him and I go to Chicago sometimes, and he's like, do not take me to a fucking long form theater. I have to take him to Laugh Out Loud because that's the only one I know that does short form.
Is that kind of a I don't know, is that an understandable thing? Are there long form, is it easier for long form to go wrong? What you've said about it makes it sound like it would be easier for things if things don't connect.
Oh,
they're just
absolutely.
not funny and they're not narratively coherent.
Well, the reason why I
that.
said it's the master's degree or whatever I said
Yeah.
earlier is because you do need to have a little bit more skill.
Right.
You do not want some people that have never done improv to do long form.
Right.
You got to know how to tell a story. There's acting techniques you got to do. You've got to learn to listen so much more because you've got to file it away.
Right.
And pay attention to what's happening and learn to really connect because it is all about the characters.
Right.
And all about the dialogue. Whereas in short form, sometimes we just make, a gorilla and, walk and we win.
Yeah. Right.
It's a lot more forgivable. But yeah, it's harder for people that don't understand what improv is to enjoy long form. That's why I always call it the improvisers improv, because when you go to a lot of shows, 90% of the audience is improvisers.
Yeah.
And because they're all like, well played, well played. And I'm guilty of it too. You know, you're like, well played, sir.
You guys see the episode of The Office where Michael went to improv class?
Oh, yes.
He just kept pulling guns on people.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Improv lends itself to be made fun of very, very easily.
Sure.
So it pops up. In fact, I just heard a radio commercial earlier today. It was for an insurance company, I think. For some reason, they were talking about confidence, and somebody was so confident that they were getting ready to take an improv class.
Nice.
Or Family Guys, the Room for Improvement was the name of their improv team.
Nice. That's good.
Yeah,
That is good.
So tell us a little bit about this crash and burn in L.A. I'm kind of curious.
Yeah,
Or is it
thank
raw?
you for bringing that back.
Is this a sore thing?
5 days?
No, it's not.
No, I mean, God, that was 2009, so we're looking at 7 years ago
Yeah.
this year.
Basically, we were doing improv here in Louisville. Things were going well. We were doing
one or two shows a month,
a month, and they were pretty well attended. And we thought we were ready for something bigger and better. And we didn't think that was here in Louisville.
Yeah, and
So-
hell, they were actually right around the corner here at Mom's Music down there. We used to do shows. I mean, we used to pack it in that back room.
Right. And so we decided we were going to move to L.A. At the time, it was 4 of us.
Yep.
There was 5 people on the team, I think.
At that point, 5. Yeah, there was 6, but yeah.
But one of the guys wasn't going. So we got out to L.A., and the biggest issue that we came across was that none of us had, like, income set up. So none of us had jobs set up.
All right.
And none of us had...
Just jumped into the deep
I mean,
end.
we were in
Yeah.
that 20s, you know, like, let's do this.
Yeah.
Invincible.
Hope,
Yeah.
you know, just thinking we'd meet people and, you
Yeah.
know, and all that stuff and have a place to stay and work everything out, and nothing worked
Well,
out.
and that was the other thing is we didn't have a place to stay when we got out there.
Okay.
And nobody really saved as much money as they should have.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Everything's
then-
super expensive, right?
Right. I don't think any of us I mean, I think we all knew, so we all saved for what we thought we would need, because,
Yeah.
you know, and plus you think, oh, yeah, we'll just get a place and
Yeah.
there's 4 of us, so we can afford it. And
Yeah.
Right.
bloopity. No.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Because that's one of those places where, you know, a studio apartment costs $1,500 a month.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that's just the starting point.
Yeah.
Of course, there are places that are probably cheaper, but not the best areas you
Sure.
want to be in, right?
Yeah,
So,
right.
Yeah.
so we
Me
took
and Dr. Dre.
So we took 2-3 weeks to get out there.
Yeah, because we
Traveling
did a
across the country.
tour
Oh,
kind of
okay.
across the country. We took our time and we went to Austin and
Well, that
did some
was
shows.
Right.
I mean, that kind of was a disaster all in itself.
Yes, it was.
Because the idea was that we would hit. Essentially, we thought we had a tour planned out, so we were going to hit these different spots along
Yeah.
the way and do shows.
Yeah.
Well, if we had 10 shows lined up, 1 worked.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Everything
Right.
else fell through.
Yeah, everything.
So
Right.
we ended up performing in Austin, Texas, and that's because
An ex-member of the team was
Yeah.
there, and he was a part of Comedy Sports.
right. And so we did that show, and then we did just a random unscheduled show at the amphitheater at the Grand Canyon.
Right.
Okay.
And we did that show for like 5 people.
Yeah.
Okay.
People were like, hey, cool, we'll watch this.
Yeah.
So that was our tour.
Nice.
And when I realized that we were intentionally dragging out the trip getting to LA, and that it turned out everybody was terrified to actually get to LA because we all knew what was going on. Nobody had any money, nobody had a place to live, nobody had a job lined up, and we had the comfort of these stops along the way where people had agreed to let us stay with them for a couple of nights. And so when I realized that we were intentionally dragging that out, that's when I knew we were in trouble.
Yeah. We did perform in LA though, which
we
was
did.
a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that would be the last in our opinion. though.
Our LA claim to fame is we performed a show at the theater owned by one of the guys from Epic Rap Battles of History.
Okay.
Nice.
Lloyd,
All right.
Epic
Yeah.
Lloyd,
Epic
him.
Lloyd.
Yeah,
Okay.
we met him. He was, he hadn't done that at the time. He's part of a group called Mission Improbable.
I still have his cell phone number. Should
Yeah, I
give
do
it out?
too. I do
No,
too.
We should call him. Let's get him on.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we had a lot of fun at that theater, and we did a jam with them, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then I was the first one to go. I gotta go,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and so I hopped on a plane and left. And a day later, Parker left, and the other two stayed out there and suffered for a year.
The
Oh, really?
wow.
They
Yeah.
stayed for a year.
Yeah.
They stayed for a year. Yeah. One of them we talked to now. The other one
Yeah, we don't.
we've tried to make contact, but she's not
Right.
interested.
Yeah.
But the last night I was there, we were sleeping on the floor of an old lady who is a member of a Unitarian church, who had agreed to give us a floor to sleep on for the night and a bowl of some goulash that she had made.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But what turned out to be cool about that was it turned out she used to work as I'm not going to say the technical term here, but she worked as an animator. And her biggest feature that she worked on, I think she did some work on Snow White, but her biggest thing was Secret of Nim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she had all these production cells
Yeah.
from the animation of those movies, or maybe Snow White might be wrong.
Yeah, I forget. David's one of the guy that we still talk to.
Yeah.
He had talked to me about that too. It was really cool.
Yeah, but so that was kind of cool. She had some stories to tell.
Wow. Yeah.
But it was kind of bittersweet because I knew that that night I was leaving because I was. You don't want to drive across the Mojave Desert during the day.
No, no.
if you can keep from it. So
Man.
Yeah, it was a crazy
Yeah,
trip,
that's
man.
intense.
yeah,
I feel like anyone who goes out to LA, you either thrive or you just crash and burn. Like I've got a friend who recently moved out there, and he's working for like the Foo Fighters management company now, and like he's going on tour with Jimmy Eat World and doing their
Okay.
stuff,
Yeah.
and like
all right.
Yeah.
he worked on Nora Jones'
Good
album
Lord.
art, and like it's like he's just doing real good.
Yeah.
Well, you just
And I
gotta,
was like-
you gotta kind of be set up, man. You
Yeah.
either gotta be set up or you gotta be really young. Because
Yeah.
if I was 19 and I was going out there, I'd have slept on the beach and wouldn't have cared.
Oh, yeah.
But at that
right.
point, I think I had turned 30 already, and I was like, no,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is not okay. Whereas like years before I moved to Orlando, I didn't care. I would
Right.
have slept anywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
But I didn't have that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
That was gone.
Yeah,
No,
that wears
yeah.
off.
We can relate to that. I mean, we used to tour in bands, and I did it until I was probably 26 or 27.
Yeah.
So from like 20 to 26 or so, and just like eating like crap, living in a van, like we eventually stopped. But I remember the moment when you're thinking like, I gotta go home.
Yeah.
I just gotta like, I gotta
Yeah.
plant some roots and like
Right.
sleep and
Sleep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I used to work with a band here in town. They're not around anymore. They're called Amherst, and I used to go on the road with them a lot. So I definitely have experience with that. But it was never a long term thing. It was never like
Right.
we're going on this 2-month tour.
Okay.
It was we're going to do a few shows over the weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
totally. So
Yeah.
do you guys still do that? You bounce around and do
Oh
do
yeah,
shows in
absolutely.
different places. Yeah.
We tour. We tour as well as do festivals. Festivals is our main travel option. We've already been to Chicago this year, which was our 4th year
Sweet.
at the Chicago Improv Festival, which is a really huge honor. It's the largest improv festival in the world,
Oh,
and
wow.
we have made some amazing connections there with some people that we consider legends,
Yeah.
and made very good friends with them. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we're getting ready to go. I guess what is Detroit next?
That's been confirmed. Yes.
Yeah, so we'll be heading up to Detroit, which surprisingly is my favorite festival, dude.
It's a lot
It's
of
the
fun.
bomb.
Yeah.
Like, it's up in one of the suburbs called Ferndale,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just amazing, man. Like, they've got like 4 street corners that have like theaters, and you just pal around and you meet all these people, and it's just tight knit, and it's just one of the best run improv festivals
cool.
we've been to in the past 4 years we've been doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the best. Those guys are fantastic. And we meet people from all over the world are going to Detroit.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
Are there any kind of festivals like that here? I mean, even like
Like
small. I mean, not like that size, but
There's nothing that has the same. That follows the same idea of a festival.
Yeah,
in
the
that
closest one would be Cincinnati.
sense. Yeah.
okay.
Well, I mean, we've been, loosely talking for a few years
Yeah.
about putting one together.
It seems like that should be here.
It should be, but the truth of the matter is, it's a ton of work.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
if you do that, you kind of have to focus all of your attention
yeah,
on
and
that.
I mean, it's
Yeah, no one wants
it's a
to do that.
huge idea because you've got to put, we haven't been to a festival that isn't a nonprofit, and then they usually take all of that money throughout the year for this festival to help create classes and to get the venues and the t-shirts and all the things that they do, as well as raising money because they're a nonprofit for other organizations throughout the year. Mm-hmm. And that's something that we would have to do. But we're thinking about on a smaller scale. We've been talking about, we've made so many friends in Chicago about inviting a number of Chicago friends down, and doing a weekend of shows could be a lot of fun and call it a festival. You may see that in the next year. We've been getting real serious. We had Laugh Out Loud Theater out of Chicago, who are probably our best improv friends in the whole world. Yeah. We go up there. That's one of the places we tour. We usually go up there around Thanksgiving. We do a weekend of shows with them. And we love them to death. And they came down last year for our 5-year anniversary show, and did a powerhouse show with us. Yeah. And it was phenomenal to have this big team from Chicago come down. I mean, it was like,
pretty cool.
Yeah, it was neat to us. Cool. And they're looking at us because this is our town. Like, we're the big shots, but we're like, man, you guys are so cool. They got 2 theaters in Chicago.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So, when did you get involved with Brian and his shindig, the DNN stuff?
The din. That's my fault.
Yeah.
That's pretty much my fault. No, I was at an improv jam. Gosh, probably 2 years ago now.
I don't even know how this happened.
Yeah, I was at an improv jam. A Project Improv had an improv jam, and Kemp, our old good friend Kemp, who passed away last year, he invited me to go. I was like, yeah, okay, I'll go. And so I went, had a great time, and Brian was in the audience.
Okay.
And he's like, oh my God, dude, you're so funny. Tell me a joke. No,
just like
Tell me a joke.
Hold on, let me do a Brian voice. No, Brian was like, man, you were absolutely hilarious, dude, man. He's like, I saw you made a couple nerd references. I own a comic book shop. And I'm like, shut up. I love comic books.
I own 2 businesses.
Right. And so he's like, come on out. I was like, sure. I was like, I really don't like the shops that are here in town, and I was like, I would love to see a new one, and went out there, and him and I just became fast friends. Yeah. And he came out to the very next show of ours. He wanted to see what we did, so he came out to the show with Eric. And they had a blast. Yeah. And so I started going to the DNN or to the destination quite frequently just to go visit and say hi. I'm a nerd, and so I haven't had a place like that to just hang out and be a nerd for a long time.
Yeah, totally. For sure.
And then the DNN started happening, and I was listening to Nerdstalgia and stuff like that. And one day Brian and I just kind of hit the idea at the same time after a board after. I think I was a guest on Nerdstalgia or something, and I was like, Damaged Goods, we've been talking about putting together a podcast, which we still have a separate idea for another podcast that we're going to do eventually. But I was like, we've been looking to do a podcast. He's like, well, why don't you guys join the network? We've got a studio, and basically he pimped me in. And I talked to the guys, and they were like, hell yeah. And so, we are so very gracious for Brian and Nicole and those guys in the DNN, and, allowing us to use that software and the recording studio. And it's helped us develop something pretty unique and pretty awesome, because we didn't want to go the route of your normal podcast. Because we're not those guys. We do short form, so we'd be bored after an hour of doing a normal podcast. Yeah. So we decided to change things up, and we wanted to make it more like a radio show. So we do fake advertisements and sketches, and we use a lot of our characters that we use on stage that we bring back quite a bit. We give them segments and stuff like that, and it has been probably my favorite thing that we've ever done. Like, it's a blast, man.
Is it a different thing, like not having an audience to kind of draw from? Or
no, and you can back me up if you want to. The reason why I would say is we never depend on the audience anyways, because I think the people we're always trying to make each other laugh is each other.
Right.
That's absolutely right. Like, we become our own audience. Yeah. And because we've spent so much time together and we're so connected mentally, we know how to bring out the best in each other.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I mean, Parker and I are coming on 10 years of friends, and him and Rocky have been friends, 20-something years?
Over 20 years.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's a tight circle, and I've known Rocky just as long, but we got really close the last 4 years. And, I mean, we are also, our road trips are insane. Yeah. I mean, you can imagine. I mean, it's just, we are nonstop cracking up, man. That's the way it is, and we just take that into the podcast. I mean, there's a thing Parker says before every single show.
Let's make them laugh and let's make each other laugh.
Yeah, and that's the number one key, and that's what we think of every time. Is if I know that I see Parker trying not to crack, I've done good.
Okay,
You know, or if they see me cracking because I'm pretty much the Jimmy Fallon.
Okay,
and like they know they've done good, and that's the
You
podcast.
didn't used to be.
No, I did.
You've gotten soft in your old age.
Yeah.
Dude, it's like, I got during that redneck movie review, the last show. I was laughing so hard I had to cover my head.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun, man. And that lost track.
Oh, sorry, I interrupted.
I got soft.
No, that's what I was going to ask. Is it hard to, because like if you're trying to make each other laugh, is there any sort of tension of what you want to do? Because do you want to make especially with like a show, or I guess doing the podcast too, do you want to make the other person break? You know, is there any tension with like, I don't want to make them break, but this would be really funny? Do you know what I'm saying?
Not for me.
You're
Like,
you're fine with it.
Well, because the truth is like we've taken some workshops from different improv instructors who have preached about, don't you dare crack on stage. You're a professional, blah blah blah. I'm just sitting back there. It's like, man,
right.
we're making shit up. It's not that
Yeah,
serious.
especially in short form. Like, it's so much more forgivable in short form because your character's already breaking, if you think about it, because you've got this rule where, say, every time he rings a bell, I got to change what I say and change what I say. It's already breaking.
Right.
And so it's a lot more forgivable. And yeah, there are many of times this dude right here drops an inside joke at me, knowing I'm going to crack.
Sure.
And the audience thinks they get it, and they're laughing right along. And I'm like, you bastard. And that's something we do quite frequently. You will be surprised at the amount of inside jokes we drop on stage that the audience thinks is so funny, and they don't really know how funny it is to us because we found a way to connect our inside joke to what's happening in the scene.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. There's so much humor for the three of us on stage, and it translates so well on the podcast.
Oh, that's cool.
Because that's all it is nonstop, just making each other laugh.
Yeah. So the audience can just like ride that momentum a little bit.
That's the hope.
If you all are making each other laugh.
Yeah,
that's the hope.
Nice.
I mean, there's probably a good solid 20 minutes of each podcast that's just laughter. Probably.
Yeah.
That's good though. I mean, like,
Especially if you're doing a comedy podcast.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
yeah, I mean, I think you already answered this question, but I mean, how much, Parker, you said you don't take it that seriously as far as taking yourself very, very seriously, but then you have instructors who are so much about the craft of it.
Right.
Well,
and I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, like, what's that balance?
The balance is just finding what makes me as a performer happy, and what I'm okay with, and what I want to get out of a show. I mean, if I'm going into an improv performance looking to win Tony or some prestigious award, that's not going to happen if I'm breaking all over stage.
Yeah.
But if I'm just there and I'm having a good time with my friends and the audience is laughing and they're having a good time, I mean, nobody in the audience has ever come up to me and said, "I can't believe you fucking broke in that scene. I'm never coming back to a show." Yeah. That's just never happened. And maybe the day that it does is the day that I stop doing it, right? But I think it all comes down to a personal preference. And
sure.
There are definitely venues and shows where it's a much bigger deal to me to make sure that I don't break on stage.
Sure, or if we're working with others.
Yeah.
Because, the three of us trust each other a ton. So we know ahead of time that these things are going to happen, so we're not going to be offended by them. There's, in fact, a lot of rules in improv that you're supposed to stay away from that we do to each other all the time because we trust each other. And we know, this is a thing that would normally leave you hanging, but Parker knows I'm not going to leave him hanging if he is left hanging, which pimping is a rule, which is asking someone a question. Okay, essentially like a real thick question, and then they're stuck answering that.
I see.
That's a no-no in improv world, but we do it to each other all the time.
Right. Wait, so can you give an example?
Well, there's a couple examples. Like, for example, we could be in a scene, and I'd be like, oh... And, I'll be like, Parker, remember when you answered that question, what was 3,574 plus 78?
I see.
What was that again?
Yeah.
And that's a real hardcore version.
Right.
Or, he's just talking about...
One time you guys pimped me to freestyle rap about Mighty Mouse.
Yes.
Okay.
So, that's another form of pimping is because it's yes and, so we know we're going to do everything. Is telling him to do something.
Right.
He's not going to say no.
Yeah.
And so, and they do. We do it to each other all the time. Especially in Music Guys, this game that we play where I improvise songs.
Okay.
These guys will merge the most ridiculous genres together and tell me to sing about it. Like I've done like metalcore Disney, opera rap.
Right.
I mean, we did yodel rap that one time. I mean, you will be surprised the things that. But yeah, we'll totally pimp each other to do stuff because we know that we're talented enough and we've been doing this long enough. We're improvisers. You're making it up. So who cares?
Right.
The reason you don't want to pimp somebody is because they're usually green and they're like, oh God, I don't know what to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just supposed to listen and react. But man, we've been performing together 4 years. I've been doing it 15 years.
Sure.
And it's like, throw anything at us.
Yeah.
It makes it so much more fun because the audience likes it when you get pimped because it is a challenge.
Right.
And they know that you're about to shit your pants.
Yeah.
And then you come off and do what? It doesn't even matter.
Right,
He could have been
right.
like, mighty, 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 mighty mouse, bitch. And the audience would have been like, whoa!
Yeah, right.
But I mean, that's what people don't understand. Improv is so easy.
Yeah, I mean, you talking about it is like the way you guys are talking about it. It sounds like one of those things where, and I did, a tiny bit of improv in like theater classes in college. That was my only exposure.
That's where I got started.
Yeah. But it is, or it sounds like it's one of those things where it's like it's about the yes and right.
Yes,
you
100%.
can't have a spirit of no at all. It just has to be yep, and just keep moving.
I mean, you
right?
can. You just learn how to use it.
Okay. Yeah.
So
right.
you learn that there's a difference between no, which is negating something in the scene, and then no in a conversation.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's okay if I ask him did you see your mother, and he could say no, I haven't seen her.
Sure. Yeah. Of course.
But when I first started, I would have never said that. I would have been like, yes, she's upstairs. She's making a bologna sandwich.
I see.
But now we know that we can do those things. It's saying no to something that's established.
Sure.
Like the rule that I tell everybody when I teach workshops is, so Parker comes out on stage and he says, man, I can't believe Kroger's is so full. Mm-hmm. And this guy goes, wake up, dude, we're at Myers.
Right.
Or we're at an amusement park.
Right.
The audience is now dead.
Sure.
They're like,
right.
I don't know who to believe. And they have stopped giving up that willing disbelief.
Yeah.
And so that's where negation happens.
Sure.
Or everything you're throwing at them, they say no, hey, let's do this, no, let's not do that.
Sure.
And it's just because they're scared to move forward.
Right.
So when you say yes and, that just helps move the scene on.
Yeah.
It helps move the scene on, and it helps create trust.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like he was saying, as soon as you negate, if he negates me, then that makes me, it probably made me look bad. It probably made me look like a jerk in front of this entire audience of people.
Yeah.
And if he accepts everything I say, then one, it's gonna help move the scene forward.
Yeah.
And two, it continues to build that trust. I mean, that we build, we continue to build on, even though we've been doing shows together now for like 7 years, 8 years, or whatever it's been.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say Keegan Michael Key from Key and Peele. He had a good quote about it. He said something along the lines of, there's no panic because I know that any choice you make and any choice that I make, we're both just gonna roll with it.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it,
Sure.
is that if you always have the other person's back and you're always working to make your team partner, your teammate look good, then at the end of the day, you both look good.
Right.
Because that's where you put all your effort.
And what do you want to see? Do you want to see a guy that says, hey, son, let's get this wood cut so we can build this house? And he says, no, I don't think we should do that.
Right.
And then he's like, well, then let's put up some pylons to build no. I mean, what do you want to see? Somebody arguing? Or are these guys cutting wood and building a house?
Right,
I mean, I'd
right.
rather see these guys cutting wood and building a house. I mean, and that's the essential basic rule there. Is we don't want to see arguing unless it's done well.
Yeah.
If there's real meat in the scene.
Well, and almost
Right.
like your example of the have you seen your mother? No, I haven't seen her. Like it sounds like there's a difference between what you guys are talking about as negation, which is like a sort of full stop or an interruption in the conversation, versus using the term no. I mean, it's not about the term
because
as a volley.
Yeah, because
to
if
sort
your
of keep
scene is
things
more of a
going.
dialogue-y scene, especially in long form, you're going to say no to things because
Sure,
you're
right.
having a real
Yeah, of course.
conversation.
Yeah.
But if it's a piece of information that needs to help move the scene along,
Right.
saying no to that then makes you forced to all of a sudden
You've lost the momentum.
Yeah, you've lost the momentum. You've lost the quick reaction that your brain creates with improv. Once you lose that, you then have to think.
Okay.
And once you start thinking in improv, that's when you've lost it.
Interesting.
Because like yes and is cool, but really it's about listening and reacting.
Yeah.
That's why we always say, you hear improvisers all the time. No, we're doing it right now. We're conversating.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
Because you're listening to me and you're reacting based off what I say. That's all we do on stage.
Sure. Yeah.
That's it. Like at its base and its root, that's all we do. I just listen to him, and if he says we're doing something, we're just doing it on a kid in a playground level.
Yeah. Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
So I mean, you say there are rules. Like what type of rules? Like, for example, if someone stalls, like what? I mean, are you know what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah.
Like what does that mean for the scene? Like if someone
It means somebody's either got to save it or it's dead.
Yeah.
One of the two. And depends on the experience level of who's on
That's
stage.
what I was going to say, and that's the mark of the improvisers that you see. Because Parker could pause in a scene, and we could just roll with the pause.
Yeah.
You know, there's a way to make it work, but when that happens, it usually happens to people that are thinking because they don't know. The reason you would ever pause is because you don't know where to go next, which means you weren't paying attention, you weren't listening, or you're too worried about making people laugh. Like, I don't think any of us think about making people laugh anymore. I don't at all. I just immerse. I mean, it's method acting at its best.
Right.
One of the things I always tell new improvisers, the first thing I teach is characters. And the reason I teach characters is because it's easier for you to put yourself into the brain of something else than using your own brain when you're improvising first.
Yeah.
Because when you're all of a sudden you're an Irish guy, everything around you is green, you know? And right, you know, but it's true though. I mean, people, and I don't know why they always teach characters as an advanced thing. It's always in my beginning thing because I have found
probably
that
scares a lot of people.
it does, but fuck that, man. When you know how it is, when you're in your character's not thinking because your character's there.
Yeah.
But anytime I play myself in a scene, that's when I catch myself thinking.
Yeah.
I catch myself thinking more so than usual.
Well, and to some extent that might make sense, right? If you're quote unquote playing yourself, to some extent, I mean, you're on stage, people are watching you. You are representing yourself,
right? Even if your name's Ted or whatever,
even if everybody's supposed to know it's a character version of you, you're representing yourself and your name and all this.
Right? And
if you're an
I,
Irish guy, then you're just an Irish guy.
You're just an
not
Irish
really.
guy, or you're a nerd, you know, whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm telling you, man. Like, I teach character. I teach yes and first, and then we go right into characters.
Yeah.
Because then you just don't think, and then because you don't blame yourself, you blame the character.
Yeah, sure.
And so you don't feel bad.
So having worked together for so long, how do you get around keeping yourself from like rehashing scenes and situations? Like, does that happen? Does it happen where you kind of you know?
It does happen, and sometimes it's tough, especially performing as frequently as we do.
Yeah,
because you get a lot of the same suggestions. You know,
Yeah,
a lot of people think along the same lines when you ask for things, and so sometimes we'll have to say, "Hey, the last thing we really want to do is turn down a suggestion." Because then that person is done for the night.
Sure.
If you throw out wizards and I'm like, nope, that's dumb. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
Guess what? You're not going to say anything else the rest of the
Absolutely.
night.
Probably won't come back.
Yeah, you probably won't come back. So when we get suggestions that we've had before, what I'll usually say is, hey, that's a great suggestion, but we just did it the other night. Let's go with something else because we want to show you something new.
We let them know this helps us be fresh for you.
Right.
But yeah, I think because one of the unique things that we do that other improv troupes don't do is that we have games where we bring back characters.
Yeah.
So we have a game called Cooking with Raquel. And Raquel is a character that's there all the time and does a cooking show. And so that one, and then we do Redneck Movie Review, and there's the three characters, Mark Dawson and then Bo Cephas. And, you know, so it's a little harder on those to not rehash because you're playing the same characters.
Yeah.
But you just find a way to work them into your personality.
Okay.
You know, or as because most of our character bits all take place in this fictional pubic access channel that we call it. And so we can allow that as if it is part of the show. Like, we have bits that we'll use because it's a show introduction. So Redneck Movie Review, we say we go down to Rusty's Red Box, which is a legit rusted red box that Rusty puts stuff in. Make sure you have your tetanus shot before you reach in there. And so there are little bits that we've just learned to use within it that aren't meant to be funny, but to help us stay cohesive with the story we've found that we've built over the past few years. Like, we're always finding things about Raquel.
Continuity.
Yeah, continuity. Things like Raquel one day was we found out she killed her oldest son. Yeah. And we were like, oh, shit.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. You know, and these little things have a way to come back. And so the fans that are at every show, they eat it up.
Sure.
But it's not enough for anyone who's seeing it for the first time to feel like they're not in on it.
Right.
And so it tends to work out. But yeah, it definitely happens. But for the most part, it doesn't, because we try to play new characters. We try to do different situations. We try to shake up things. Mm-hmm. And you tend not to. And you're aware. I'm very aware when I've said things that I've said before. Mm-hmm. You know?
And honestly, like, if it happens, I know for me at least, I feel dirty.
Yeah.
Like, I feel dirty.
Because most of the time, you're not thinking about it. A lot of times, it just comes out because that same thing that triggered it before triggers it again. But you still feel dirty, but it was really just your natural reaction.
Kind of feel like you let your buds down a little bit.
Almost a little bit. And in fact, for me, like especially with Raquel, you know, there are several things that happen with Raquel every single time she's on the stage. Yeah. And so I started feeling guilty about that. And I'm like, man, am I cheating? Am I not giving these people what I'm telling them I'm giving them? And it took me talking to a teacher named Joe Bill that we had a workshop with in Chicago, who's very well respected in the improv community.
Yeah, one of the Annoyance Theater founders.
Yeah, one of the guys that founded the Annoyance Theater. And I talked to him about it, and I told him what was going on, and he said, and his response to me was, does it work? And I said, yeah. And he said, then who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, that was his honest response. He was like, if it works, then who gives a fuck? You're giving them a good show.
Yeah, they do a show called Bass Prov where it's the same two characters.
Okay.
And that's a lot where that comes from, is they find a lot of bits and it works, and it just becomes part of the repertoire.
Sure. Yeah.
And so it does work. I mean, he does the voice of Raquel for Rocky, if you've never seen it. Rocky moves his lips and moves around the scene, and he does voice. So he's just a stream of consciousness for 5-10 minutes. And so you just got to do it. And, you know, I remember when you got real upset for a while, you're like, I just feel like this isn't working anymore. And
I didn't want to do it. Yeah. The audience is one of our fan favorites. They love it. And in fact, anytime we take it out of town, if people only remember one thing, it's Raquel.
Yeah. Or as my dad says, Chef Raquel. Yeah.
But I had gotten to a point where it's like, I gotta stop. I don't want to do this anymore because I don't feel like I'm being honest with the audience.
That's interesting. Yeah.
But then talking to a guy like Joe Bill that I respect so much, that has had so much success and in the improv world, and is so well respected by improvisers around the world, not just in the United States, but around the world, and to have him say, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's no big deal.
And then look what happens when you do come back to that thing. So say, like, because Raquel what do we usually say on Raquel? We don't use utensils. We use our hands. And the people that have seen it, they eat it up. They love it because they're like, we know that, you know? And so they do get behind it. And there are these little things that come back, especially in Cooking with Raquel, that the audience that has seen Raquel before, they love it. Because, and it's not always that you do the same thing. It's that there are similar things that happen. So you know at some point, Raquel is gonna dance. It's just gonna happen because she's mixing something with her hands, you know. And so, like, because one of our fans talked to me about it. He's like, I'm always wondering what song she's gonna sing, you know. Like,
I did not know. I didn't know people paid attention.
They
to that.
do though. That's the thing, and it's like, so you just never know. So they look for those little things, or like whenever you drop a Muhammad Ali quote while you're punching, like, because sometimes he has to follow Rocky, who's moving too, and Rocky will start punching whatever he's mixing, you know. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. You know, and Randy's a little bitch, which is on the apron, is the key, you know, like,
probably the top catchphrase.
Top catchphrase is Randy's little bitch, which is about Raquel's ex-husband.
Okay.
Like, and people love it. In fact, we got the audience that screams, Raquel's secret ingredient. I mean, it's great. So you look for those things. I mean, especially because we are looking for a way to build a universe. I mean, that's what we
Right.
talked about. I
Right.
think probably 2 years ago was when we decided to start bringing characters back.
Okay.
Is to build what we call the damn good network, whether
Yeah.
we create it on video or just on stage. It's
Sure.
this cohesive universe that we can bring these characters back, and it's great because they're getting to interact on the podcast.
Yeah.
Which is something new. And we're getting to see them outside of their environments. Like Cooking with Raquel, she doesn't do Cooking with Raquel on podcast. She does Raquel Medium Well, where she's also a spirit reader
Psychic
and
medium.
yeah,
Okay.
psychic medium,
Okay.
Raquel Medium Well.
Medium well.
And so
That's
she
good.
like a John Edwards
That's great.
type thing, you
Yeah.
know. And the
That's
redneck,
funny.
we do redneck movie review on there because we can do sound effects and stuff.
Yeah.
But like the guy we do interrogation where it's 2 Detroit cops that are always interrogating me,
Okay.
Tony Two Tones, and I pull paper strips out of
It's
a bag
not
that people
a Detroit
written.
accent at all.
No, not at all. It's
Yeah.
totally New York. And but we bring the 2 cops onto the podcast. They do a call-in show called Fuzz Buzz,
Okay.
which is cops around the country can call and ask advice questions from
Okay.
these 2 cops. So
Yeah.
we get to reuse these characters
Yeah.
and put them in commercials and
Yeah.
all kinds of shit.
I think
dude.
it's
ridiculous.
interesting what you were saying about like how you all learned something about the tell me her name
Raquel?
again. Raquel, yes, thank you. So you learned something about Raquel,
Well,
right?
well, yeah.
And no, I was just gonna say, is it like one of those things? I mean, you're talking about not thinking and just going and all this stuff. Did everyone learn that about Raquel at the same time? Like even the
Oh, yeah.
person, yeah. And so that's really interesting. It's almost like the character
Yeah.
has a life of its own.
Well, and
that's just
Like I feel
revealed.
like because I'm not in
you
the
know?
game, obviously it's just those 2.
Yeah.
But I love so I've seen every one, of course.
Yeah.
But God, I feel like I should be on the side documenting the
Yeah,
history,
right.
you know,
Right,
because
sure.
every time something drops, I'm like, oh shit, like oh my God, Raquel killed her son. Oh my God, Raquel has 7 kids. Oh my God, like every time something. Oh my God, Randy got out of jail. Like
She's
Yeah.
related to Abraham Lincoln.
yeah, she's related to Abraham
okay.
Lincoln. Like, and some stuff we think about, you know, like we've
Yeah.
had this theory for a long time. What if the Randy she was married to was actually Randy Savage?
Maybe one day.
Yeah, maybe one day. You know, but it's just little shit, man. Yeah, every time you could see
Yeah.
all 3, because you can even see it on Parker because he ain't thinking about it. It just
Yeah.
comes out of his mouth,
Yeah.
and we're all just like, I swear, if you could slow down time like the Flash, you'd see us all go, oh.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, if you're, I mean, just to kind of bring it back to, you know, if you feeling a little dirty repeating yourself. I mean,
Yep.
at the same time, though, you're building a character.
Right.
And if Raquel, you know, killed her son, like she after that happens, if that character is really, if you're being true to that character will have always done that, right?
Absolutely.
Oh,
So
yeah.
each time, even if you bring it back, it's within the context of what's happening at that moment.
Right.
We
It's
always
not that you don't want to, like, you know, wipe the slate completely clean each
Oh
time.
no, we do at the end of every show we do a detox, and that's where we really like these ones where we bring these characters back. We bring up, okay, guys, we got to remember Raquel killed
Okay.
her son because there may be a point where that can be brought back up, and you have people in the audience are like. They'd be like, they would come up to us after the show and be like, I thought you said Raquel's son got killed.
Right.
Yeah, right.
You know, so
Yeah.
we have to think about that.
And it's
Well,
also
that was her other son.
yeah.
It's
You got
also
7
interesting
kids.
though, because like that informs you of her character, right?
Oh,
So like
yeah.
if that's something that she would have done, like, you know, the next time around you visit that character, like that's going to inform maybe something else that, you know, it becomes multi-layered, I guess.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
It creates her. It
Yeah.
creates her being, her existence, and it's just
Yeah.
like it's no different than an actor who's in a play or a movie, or even, I'm sure there are actors who do it on TV too, creating backstory for a character that they're playing.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah,
I've heard Denzel Washington, every character he plays, he keeps a journal as that character and creates an entire backstory for the character.
Yeah, we used to do that Western.
Right, and I'm sure he's not the only one.
Yeah.
But it's a very similar concept. The only difference is instead of doing something like a journal and creating the backstory of this character in my mind and keeping it to myself, I'm doing it live in front of an audience.
Right.
Sure.
It's real time.
Yeah,
Right,
and
yeah.
even on our podcast, it's all improvised. The only thing we write are the commercials.
Okay.
For the podcast.
Yeah, for the
Everything's
podcast,
improvised.
Raquel Medium Well is we do callers that call in, and it's us, but we
yeah.
just improvise, and
Sure.
he don't know what we're gonna throw at Raquel,
Yeah.
or Fuzz Buzz. I do all three callers, so I'm like quickly trying to think of because I
Yeah.
don't want to think of it ahead of time,
Yeah, yeah.
and so that's
part of what
you just
people are
never
wanting
do.
to hear.
Yeah, and so
right,
you should
exactly.
see.
Yeah.
We pimp the hell out of Rocky in Redneck Movie Review because he's our cousin Bo Cephas who don't talk very much except for when he's on stage. He's an idiot savant, so he does all the scenes from the movies that we talk about.
Nice.
Playing every character.
Okay.
And
That's
then
pretty
in the end, we throw 3 cameos at him of people, and we don't ever tell him.
Yeah.
And so every time he's like, oh shit. Like this dude dropped Jonathan Taylor Thomas on him one time.
He's done everything. He's done JTT. He's done Morgan Freeman, Barack Obama,
Sam Kinison.
Don Knotts, Tone Loc. He's done
50 Cent, which is one of
50
my
Cent,
favorite.
Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne. I mean, all kinds of stuff. And we throw stuff at him all the time because Rocky has such a good, library of pop culture and movies in his head.
Right.
Yeah.
We can usually throw damn near anything at him, and he's got it.
Yeah.
I can't recall any instance where I've thrown a reference at Rocky and he didn't know what I was talking
Yeah, I just know there maybe have been one or two. He's like, I just couldn't figure out how to do
Well,
it.
but and for me, it's the exact opposite. They throw references to me all the time. I'm like, I never saw that.
Yeah, he does not have a
don't know what you're
library of
talking
pop culture. That's
Yeah.
Rocky and I's department.
Yeah. So, one of the other things I wanted to ask, because Stefan, I heard you on Eric's podcast not
Oh,
too
yeah,
long ago.
yeah, that was so much
which
fun.
Which was a good episode. It was really good. But you talked a little bit on there about the sort of relationship, if there is one, between improv and sort of stand-ups, right? And so, we're outsiders to both of those worlds, but I thought that was really interesting because, you guys are doing comedy, right? You're not doing stand-up comedy, what is called stand-up comedy, but you're doing comedy.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering,
Yeah, the craft's going to be completely different.
Right,
It's
right.
entirely different.
I constantly say it that improv is the bastard child of stand-up and theater.
Right.
If those two things had a baby that couldn't read, that's that's what you got. And
That makes sense because there's no script.
exactly that's where that came from. Bing. But no, it's tough because then it makes us not fit into either world either.
Sure, right.
And we want very much to be in both because we work very well in a theater setting as maybe, like we are with Kentucky Shakespeare as an opening act for a play or, stay after and we'll do an improv show.
Yeah.
We also work great at comedy clubs. Every time we've done a comedy club, we've killed.
Yeah.
And the stand-ups don't know what to do because it's so different, and ours, especially us, because we have a very certain specific style that we've created that is very high energy, and the stand-ups don't know what to do because they're just talking, and I don't know that they're. I have never taken stand-up classes, so I don't know if they're taught energy work.
Yeah.
We very much are. In fact, some of the workshops we teach is energy work.
Sure.
It's very important to keep an audience, and so. When we're at a comedy club, it's tough to follow us.
Sure, right.
And sometimes it's tough for us to follow a stand-up, especially if they didn't have a solid set.
Okay.
Or say they're that type of comedian that's kind of like, here I am, I'm going to make this joke, right?
Yeah,
We
right.
got it. And people are like, yeah, we got it.
Yeah.
Then we've got to follow that, and we've got to rev them up. But yeah, I love stand-up. I wish we could do more. We've had Kent Carney open for us.
Cool. Yeah.
A couple others open for us in the past, and we're looking to maybe do that again. And
Kent's so good. He's
yeah,
so
Kent's
funny.
awesome.
He's so funny.
I want some Brian Kennison in my life.
Oh, yeah.
And, and stuff like that. And I wish we could find more ways to work together, but it's hard because the stand-up community isn't a community like we're a community. Like we're a family. The three of us work hard together and we play together and there's no competition between us, but those guys are competing with each other constantly. Yeah. And so it's hard to work together. And and it's like this in a lot of cities for stand-ups. Like it's hard.
Sure, yeah.
Because you're constantly competing with a guy you're calling a friend.
Sure.
And it's got to be tough, For us, we're just having fun.
Right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a tough industry, and then I wish we could find better ways to work together. We can't get gigs at Laughing Derby to save our lives. We used to when it was the other thing. But yeah, I mean, they just don't want anything to do with improv because improv has, just like you always see, like Michael Scott, it has such a bad,
Right.
It's got a bad reputation. It really does.
and not in Hollywood, because obviously Hollywood is like, no, we need improvisers, but in like the minds of like average everyday Americans, they're like, oh God, there's Tim, he's the funny guy at the office going to take an improv class.
Right. Do you think that's because I feel like the perception as an average person with little experience with improv, do you think it's because there's a perception that like there's not, aside from maybe Whose Line, right, there's not a sort of seen as an end game, right? If you're taking improv classes, it's because typically you think it's for some other purpose, right?
Correct.
You're doing improv classes because you want to do stand up or you want to act.
Well, and the other part of it is because we stress so hard that it's something anyone can do, everyone thinks they can do it.
Well, that's the truth. And
and
to
that's interesting.
To be completely honest, everybody can do it, but it's I don't want to sound like an asshole, but it's difficult to do it well.
Well, sure, yeah.
And so if people have one example of going to an improv show and it wasn't a very good show, they're basing their entire
Right, because improv's such a
Experience
niche.
with improv.
Like, it's such a niche because it's not a huge, especially in Louisville. I mean, there's, 4 teams now?
I think so.
And which is huge for a city, but still, I mean, it's still, I mean, God, I doubt a tenth of the city knows who any of the teams are. Because
it's news to me, actually.
I mean, and we get people that come to the show and they're like, oh my God, my wife dragged me to this. I saw this show and say, like Omaha one time and and I thought I'll never watch improv again, but you guys completely changed my opinion. And we're like, thank you. And, cause you do, it sucks cause most people do, especially if they're in a smaller town, they're just going to see a local meetup group, get together and do a show, or a community theater group or something that isn't taking it seriously. They're just doing it, just like you said, to for whether it's for acting or for speeches or things like that. But you've got to perform to make sure you know how to do it. And who doesn't like to entertain? And that's what happens. And then you got guys like us that, I mean, this is our business. I mean, we've been working hard for 6 years to quit our jobs with this, and we travel and tour, and it's extremely serious for something that's so comical. It's very, very serious. But it's tough to get people to come, because there's that idea that improv is this stupid, goofy, young high school, especially short form. People think of short form as something really goofy, and we've been changing that idea around the country, which has been really cool. We go to these festivals where they don't even normally let in short form teams. And
we've done shows at festivals and then have people come up to us afterwards and say, what the fuck? What was that? What did you guys just do?
What's that form called?
And we're like, what's that form called? And we're like, dude, it's short form. And they're like, oh my God, it was short form. It's just a different a different branch of it.
I mean, and we have been changed. I mean, and they will, like our mentors that we have met. I mean, at first they kept telling us, "Oh, you guys need to start doing long form. You need to start doing long form." And now a lot of them are like, "Don't stop what you're doing."
Really,
And I mean, the workshop that we teach at festivals is called "Make Short Form Your Form," and because we basically say in the bio of it is, we already know you have a bad misconception, especially improvisers. Long-form improvisers, which is the majority of improvisers around the country, have an even worse opinion of short-form than the average everyday.
It's just looked at as like an amateur
because
it's amateur art.
It's the thing that you do when you do it in high school or in college. It's short-form. I mean, that's what you're doing. And so when you go to Chicago and L.A. and New York, you're going to be taught long-form. And which we've learned it. We know it. We keep it in our back pocket because it helps us do our short-form scenes better. But we tell them that we already know you hate this, but let us show you how we can make this worth your time.
Right.
Because when they come to our shows, they've had so much fun, and they've seen beginning, middle, end. They've seen characters. They've seen dialogue. They've seen true interactions between people. Because we're all theater folk. And which I think really helps is that we're all theater people. So we already know how to build a story and to do things like that. You know, instead of just 3 guys from The Office, or from Amazon. We're like, That's right, we're funny on the line. Let's do an improv show.
Right. So do you guys feel like there is, and you've sort of been articulating this, but do you feel like you're sort of in this in-between world? I mean, you're not doing stand-up, you're not doing acting as such, but then again, as you're talking about improvisers being very into long form, so you're doing something that's really
It's
not being done a lot, it sounds like.
Well, it's just like acting to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't done a play.
I stopped doing theater.
Yeah, we
because
stopped.
I get my theater fix from
Gotcha.
Damaged Goods.
Yeah, I mean, we stopped doing it. I mean, we just put so much effort into this, and I get what I want out of it. I mean, yes, there's that part of me that wants to do Shakespeare and, that serious thing where I'm crying on stage. There's
Sure.
that, but I need to do it once and I'm done because this fulfills me on so many other levels because we sing. I mean, we have so many singing games, and so I sing. So I get to sing, I get to do musicals all the time, and we'll drop serious moments in the middle of a scene, and shit gets real sometimes, and it flips right back up.
Right.
But yeah, so we get all that. I mean, we just don't get that that tragedy.
Yeah.
Which is okay.
Yeah.
I don't need it, but because I'm singing, we're having the best time because we turn tragedy into joy. I mean, we do Shakespeare scene.
That's all the Shakespeare I want. You can have all Shakespeare. Dude.
I love Shakespeare.
Question.
Yeah.
Say you're doing a segment on your podcast, and you guys just aren't feeling it. Are you going to put it on? Are you going to? Do you throw stuff away that you don't like, or do you just throw it all up?
Yeah.
I think. Well, Rocky does most of the editing of the. Is that what you're talking about? Like how we get to the final product?
Yeah, like what?
I mean, it's happened maybe once or twice where we've got in the middle of something and we said, "Cut. Let's go back and re-improvise that."
Oh, okay. Is that what you're asking?
Sure. Just the things get thrown out if they're not vibing or. Because if you're on stage, you don't get that.
Right. You don't get that. Chance.
Right. Yeah. You've got to go.
Most of the time, if anything gets cut, it's just for time constraints.
Yeah, it's only happened like once or twice where we've been like, cut.
Yeah.
We need to go back because maybe I laughed too hard or just something weird happened.
Somebody wasn't sure about what was supposed to happen.
Right.
Like if we said, okay, we know we're going to do this segment, this bit, and then we get into the middle of it and somebody starts doing it wrong or is just on a different page and it's like, well, wait a minute, hold on, time out. Let's talk about this for a second, and let's all get on the same page.
Yeah, it's usually technical mistakes because, like, we know what's going to happen. So, like, with Raquel Medium Well, we say, okay.
That got me. It was good.
So, we know that Parker will be Rocky will be the first caller, I'll be the second caller, Rocky will be the third caller. That's the way we do it. And maybe I forgot.
Yeah.
And I start to talk at the same time as Rocky.
Yeah.
Let's go back and do, so if it's a technical thing like that,
sure,
we'll go back. But yeah, because it is a little less forgiving on the podcast.
Sure.
So
there's not that live energy.
Right. But we still do keep some of that live energy because we do make each other laugh during these.
Yeah.
And you can hear, like, Raquel when I think you make yourself laugh as Raquel more than anybody.
I'm the funniest person
and,
I know.
but something will happen and, like, he says something. And, like, when April came on and the scene between you two, there's a moment you can hear Raquel laugh at what she just said. But it doesn't make you mad. You're not like...
Yeah, right.
So fake,
Yeah, when you're watching SNL and, like, the cast starts to crack up... That's not your least favorite part.
No, that is.
It makes you like you
fantastic.
start to laugh along,
right? Because they've got a script, but they're still allowed to improvise a little bit, which is like Second City. They have a script, but they improvise around that, and so that's kind of how we look at it too. That's how we do our sketches. We improvise everything.
Yeah.
But if it's a big one, we'll talk about how it's going to go.
Sure.
Or it might have an outline.
Yeah, it might have an outline. Sure. But like Redneck Movie Review, we just get the title, we go.
Yeah.
Fuzz Buzz, I don't ever tell them who's going to call. I just make it up on the spot. Yeah. I might make a note. Usually it's accent, so I'll be like Canadian guy, or something like that. So I could, because I've got to go one after another. So I might make a note for which characters I'm going to play, or something like that. But that's about it.
Well, and it's interesting that you talk about cracking up and how that's Joe, you're talking about SNL. Like that's not your least favorite part. That's fun, right? That humanizes the people that are doing it to some extent. It sounds like with improv, it's the form acknowledges that we are all pretending together, right?
Yeah.
To some extent, it's like if I, as an audience member, see you all improving and one of you cracks up, it's like that doesn't take me out of it because I'm aware the whole time that we're all pretending. It's not the same as if I'm watching a play and someone flubs a line, right?
It reminds you that we're human,
right?
We're just regular Joes like you who are
Right.
up on stage and putting ourselves on display.
Well,
and making stuff up without a script.
and I'll be honest with you, I bet you some of the most boring SNL scenes are the ones that were strictly read from the script.
Where they hit every
Verbatim.
beat.
Where
and-
they, boom,
Sure.
boom, boom, boom,
Sure.
boom. You know, especially the stand-ups that come in there that aren't improvisers or just a funny guy that, you know, they hired, which happens, you know, it's usually like half and half stand-up, that's half the improvisers.
Yeah.
You can tell the difference. And I think to say that's probably when a lot of those scenes go south is when there is not improvising happening because there's just something magical about improvising because it's in the moment.
Yeah.
So, and I've been an actor for a long time and I've done plays, I've done Shakespeare. You're always thinking.
Yeah.
Because you have to, because your brain's trying to recite these lines. So you're not embodying as well as someone improvising. I think that's
Sure,
why all
yeah.
those movies are so good. You can tell the ones that have improvised elements. I mean, that's why Ghostbusters is so great. If they had
That's
done
exactly what I was
if they
just
had
thinking.
done the original script,
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
I mean, I love Dan Aykroyd, but you know how weird he is. If they had done that script and didn't allow for improvising, it would have been a very different movie.
Yeah.
I mean, like I was watching that Jimmy Kimmel thing with them all on there.
I haven't
last
watched
night.
it yet. Don't ruin it for me.
And I'll just say one of the lines they talk about is Stay Puft, you know, and how, you know, Dan Aykroyd had created Stay Puft, and he said, "Oh, I want a mixture of the Michelin Man, this, that, and blah 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 blah." He said, and then he brings it back, and it's a sailor, you know. But it led to Bill Murray's best line, you know, where he improvised and said, "Here's a sailor, we got to get him laid. He's in New York," you know, like that wasn't in the script,
Yeah.
you know. And
Yeah.
so, what would have been there?
Yeah.
If it had been written.
Well,
you
but
know?
with a guy like Bill Murray, I mean, if you say Bill Murray stick strictly to this script, then you're not getting your money's worth for what you're paying Bill Murray,
Right.
Because
Right.
he's not gonna, he's not his best work is
right,
probably
but back
gonna be-
then that was rare.
right?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they started that trend.
Yeah.
You know, of improvising in film.
We could talk about Ghostbusters for a while, so let's.
Speaking of scripts and improvising off of a script, do either of you consider yourselves writers?
Yeah.
No,
No.
Yes.
I don't.
I think there's an interesting parallel there because essentially, you know, when you're improvising, although it's not something that becomes a, you know, a physical manifestation
Right.
of something, you're writing, right?
Right.
You're developing a narrative that has a beginning, middle, and an end. And I guess I just wonder what your process would be like differently if you were taking, you know, pen and paper and trying to develop
Well,
something.
I do. I mean, like I said, we write the advertisements, and I write a lot of them. And I just look at it as one-man improvisation. That's what I do when I'm writing. You're improvising. So, I mean, that's
Right.
what I do. Another great way to write, which is what Second City does so well, is to improvise something, you know, record it, and then go back and write it.
Okay.
Right.
And, you
And
know,
that was going to be my question. Is
Yeah.
like is the process, the physical process of typing something out, is that going to slow down how it flows?
Right.
Like, does that, you know what I mean?
It could.
yeah, it could.
I mean, when like, I've definitely thought about that before. It's like, okay, well, I'm writing material on the fly in front of a live audience because, and most of the time when I have to remind myself of that is when I have to actually write something for the podcast or for another project we're working on or something like that. Because when I have a project that I have to complete and I have to write something and the pen is in my hand and I've got paper in front of me, I clam up.
Yeah.
And honestly, writing, I mean, that's one of the main reasons I've never tried stand-up is because I don't want to have to write
I don't.
jokes.
Absolutely. Which I like writing sketches though, and the way that I do it is I usually free associate with myself before I start.
Is that a masturbation euphemism?
No, that's free masturbation, free association, and it helps because it gets my brain moving like an improviser. That's how I've gotten around doing these sketches for these podcasts, and also Rocky saying, hey, we need to cut the times down, because I used to write very lengthy. You remember my old sketches.
Yeah, he gets wordy.
I get really wordy. I mean, I'm an old theater guy, and an English guy, and but yeah, so I try to free associate, and there's a really cool book, by the way, called oh god, now I can't think of it. The Artists.
Formally.
Oh, God, never mind. I can't remember it, but it's a really cool book. The Artist's Way, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
And it just tells you how to free your brain up. And I use a lot of those techniques. And, one of the things it talks about is to immediately just write garbage down.
Mm-hmm.
Just free form, write, get all that shit out of your head.
Sure.
And it helps get that, which is what we do in rehearsal a lot of times, is we're like, just say whatever's on your head. Don't worry about it. Just go. I don't care if it's right or wrong, or if it's funny, just get it out.
Yeah.
And so those are things that I kind of do before I write a sketch, because it is different, especially in a commercial type thing, because there is no room for improvisation.
Yeah.
So it's different, man. It's a different, and I feel like you can tell a distinct difference in the sketches and the segments.
I can tell almost instantaneously if I'm watching TV or a movie or something.
Yeah,
I can tell what's improvised.
Oh,
yes,
really?
Absolutely.
I'm probably not 100% perfect on it.
Sure, yeah, but you have a sense of it.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Like the Sonic commercials, before I even know who TJ was.
Okay.
The first time I saw him, I was like, those are improvised.
Yep.
I can tell. And then we come to find out one of the guys in there is a big-time improviser in the improv world.
Yeah, he's got his own show up at I.O., and it's called TJ and Dave, and they're like legends right now in our community. Yeah. And we got to see them perform, which was really cool.
So what's that's an interesting thing. You say, you kind of have a sense of things that are improv and things that are scripted out. What's something that, not to put you on the spot, but you're an improviser, so
That's right.
what's something that I might not have, or that the regular person might have seen and gone, oh, that's really funny or whatever, but not have noticed, or
well, I mean, most people know this now, but Curb Your Enthusiasm,
right,
completely improvised, completely. Like like The Office was kind of halvesy,
okay,
but Curb Your Enthusiasm. Completely improvised, which was such a difference from Seinfeld.
Oh yeah,
because Seinfeld's a stand-up.
Yep,
and so it was very different. Where Larry David's all about improv, and so Curb Your Enthusiasm is really incredible, because he would say, "This is what needs to happen. Here's how and we need to get from point A to point B.
Narrative beats,
go."
Well, and the other thing is based on the cast. Like, if the cast has a lot of improv experience,
right,
and they're good at improvising, then you can at least hope that the director gave some room to play.
Yeah.
So, like, The Office definitely has improvised moments. Parks and Rec, those guys, a lot of them.
Community.
Community. And honestly, like, that was when they first... I hate to keep going back to Ghostbusters.
No, yeah.
But when they were first like really talking about doing a new Ghostbusters and not having the original guys, my first reaction was, oh, can you do it without the original guys? But then I started thinking to myself, okay, well, why do I feel that way? And it's because of the training that the original guys had.
Okay.
It's because of the connection that they all had together, and the fact that they were all such good friends off screen and had all gone through Second City together, and they had this huge history before Ghostbusters even became to be.
Yeah.
And so that was when they were starting to talk about, who would they cast for the Ghostbusters, and I was like, if you don't have a group of people that have that, you're not going to have the magic that you had.
Right.
In the original.
And you have that now, like, because Melissa McCarthy is the only one that didn't have Second City training. So she's the Winston of the group, really.
She's the Ernie Hudson.
She's the Ernie Hudson.
Oh, okay.
But Ernie Hudson, talks about how much he learned how to improvise and stuff from But I mean, Melissa McCarthy has taken improv classes. I mean, she can fly off the cuff like nobody else. So, I'm not worried about her. But they looked great together on Jimmy Kimmel, just riffing off each other and how tight they were.
I'm curious, like, what are your all's opinions? Because this is such
it's
a
very
hot
controversial.
At first I was like, no, fuck this, I don't want to see it. And it didn't even have to do like okay. so the thing about it is, like,
you're saying you hate women.
Exactly.
Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Is that what you're saying?
Like,
I hate women too, man. It's cool.
but
I have women.
But you can't say that you don't like it and not instantly be thought of as a woman hater.
Oh, I see.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And so at first I wasn't keen on the idea.
Yeah.
I wasn't a big if it's not going to be the original guys playing the original characters, I don't want anything to do with it.
Right.
But then I opened my mind a little more, and I was like, okay, well, who's the movie for? You know, I've got my 2 movies that I love that are great.
Right.
Sure.
They're not going.
Sure.
But-
They're not going anywhere.
Right,
Yeah.
they're not going anywhere
Unless George Lucas gets a hold of
Right.
them.
Exactly.
Shut your damn
Well,
mouth.
yeah. But then what made me change my mind was I realized how excited my 6-year-old niece got.
Yeah.
When she was like, the Ghostbusters are going to be girls.
Yeah.
And that
Totally.
moment, I was like,
Totally.
I get this now.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that changed my mind for me.
Yeah.
So the problem that I still had with it was, it's not the cast I would have chosen.
Okay.
Male or female.
Yeah,
even if
right.
I was picking all female, it's
Sure.
not who I would have picked. But I'm not the casting director.
Right.
So I kind of had to get over that. And once I got over that and was like, okay, well, these 3 they're still SNL people. They still have Second City training. Okay, this could work. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
I'll keep an open mind about it. And because and I felt it's similar about the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So many people wrote it off. I don't know how you guys feel about it. But so many people.
I haven't seen it actually. so.
Well, it's worth seeing.
Okay.
It's worth
Yeah.
seeing.
Yeah.
I
It's-
recently saw it. The first one, anyway.
Yeah.
It's a fun movie.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a fun movie. It's not going to be the movies
Sure.
from your childhood.
Yeah, of
it's
course.
just not.
Yeah.
And if you go into it.
Although if I was a child, it would.
Right.
Right?
Of course. Right.
Exactly.
But if you go into it with the mindset of, okay, I like Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
I'm just going to check this movie out for what it's worth. I know it's not going to be the movies from my childhood or
Yeah.
the cartoon from
Yeah.
my childhood.
Yeah.
You're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and
The truth
like
of the matter is both of the new Ninja Turtle movies are light years ahead of that third original movie.
Oh, right.
from the
Oh, God.
trilogy.
Sure. Yeah,
the
yeah,
mouth. The
absolutely.
movie was awesome.
The back in time.
That movie had
Yeah.
trouble.
No, but I mean, you got to think about it. Like when the cartoon dropped, how angry the comic book readers were.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like
That's a
I mean,
great
that's
point.
what people don't realize.
That's
like
a great
like
point.
Krang, Bebop, and Rocksteady all
Yep.
created for the cartoon.
Yep.
And so like all these memories that people have talking about, you're not doing Ninja Turtles right. Well,
Yeah.
it was never a part of what Ninja Turtles really was,
Exactly.
anyways.
Yeah.
So it's like, shut up, dude.
Yeah.
Like Hollywood is not saying, you know what, Will. We got to make a movie specifically for you.
Yeah.
You know, but that's how these people are.
Yeah.
Like, especially with Ghostbusters, and it makes me so angry. I'm complete opposite of Parker. I loved it from the get-go.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't care. I love the idea of females. It didn't bother me, but I loved the cast. I'm a huge Kristen Wiig fan. Kate McKinnon, I want to marry her.
Right.
I didn't
Don't we
know
all?
who
She's marriage worthy.
I didn't know who Leslie was, but I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
And I love Melissa McCarthy. She's exactly what she's supposed
Have
to
you
be.
guys seen Spy?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen it.
Tammy,
You
have you
gotta
seen
see
Tammy?
Spy.
Tammy is ridiculous. like she and in Bridesmaids,
Yeah.
she's absolutely ridiculous.
I'm
And,
not a Melissa McCarthy
and I
fan,
feel
so-
like if that was a guy doing the same thing as her, people would be like, God, he's so hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's where people just don't realize they're being sexist.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah,
remember
sure.
when the movie was coming out and there was like Channing Tatum was coming up for it, some other famous comedian, and everybody's like, man, this
Yeah.
is going to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Not that, but when the females came out, they're like, it's not the original cast. So it's like,
Right.
no offense. But that's what was happening. Everybody was okay when it was going to be these other guys.
Yeah.
But when it became women, it became about it not being the original
But see,
cast.
but the thing about it is I don't have a problem with it being women. I have problems with the movie. I
Right.
do have. I'm excited that it's happening
Yeah.
for people like my niece, for girls or whoever can relate
Sure,
to this
yeah.
movie well.
Kids now will.
And
hopefully
Thor's
really
in
enjoy
it.
Right.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Sure.
right.
But I have problems with the movie beyond the women and the women that they cast, and the problems are like, is it a reboot or a sequel?
Oh,
What is it?
yeah, uh-huh.
Because if it's a reboot, well, find me a reboot that doesn't use all the original characters.
Yeah.
You can't do that, right?
Yeah.
Nah, I can give you a couple probably.
What?
I don't know.
Well-
like
Pimping
Cape
for 'em.
Fear, I don't know. Like the reboots have been happening for a long time. Or a
reboot-
remake. I
Yeah,
guess.
well, there's sort of this new thing that's kind of the ambiguous reboot, right? I mean, what I think of when you say that, I thought of the Evil Dead remake, right? And I was like, is this Evil Dead 4?
The Evil
You
Dead
could
reimagining,
It's
William.
a reimagining, exactly.
Well, and even
So it's
Sam
like,
Raimi's like, well, it's kind of connected.
is it 4? I mean, you could read it as if it happens after the third Evil Dead. So I don't.
Well,
wanna
here's
go
an
on
example.
Evil
So
Dead,
Amazing
but-
Spider-Man
Yeah.
didn't bring back Mary Jane. they brought in Gwen.
But they still had Spider-Man.
Sure.
They
They still got Slimer. They still got Slimer.
Get out of here with your Slimer. They still had the main character. That's one of the things that bugged me about it. There was something else I had in my brain.
But if they did that, people would lose their fucking minds. Could you imagine,
well, sure,
dude?
because people always are going to look for a reason to lose
because
their mind.
that type of movie really was them essentially playing themselves in a way.
Right.
And so
Right.
if anyone wasn't built, this is why I think them having females was brilliant.
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Because if they had any 4 guys playing this in a reboot,
Yeah.
they would have been like, these are just shadows of
see,
these guys. But
it's
women,
like
they
Dumb
can
and
get
Dumber.
away with it.
Well, see,
Yeah.
that's why when I heard they were remaking it, and I'm not like Ghostbusters, I loved it growing up, but it's not one of those things that just fused with my heart. Like,
Right.
I'm not super protective of it. But when I heard it, I was like, oh man, they're going to do a remake. It's probably going to suck. When I heard it was going to be an all-female cast, I was like, oh, okay, they're not going to recast. You know what I mean? I was
Yeah,
like, oh,
it's-
okay,
it's
sweet. It's new
That's
characters.
why I like they've all got
I was
different
like, oh,
names.
that's
It's
fine.
not like Billy is Billie, or
Yeah,
whatever.
right.
Billy's wrong. That's Bill Murray. But you know what I mean.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's not the Winston isn't Winnie. It's
Yeah.
not. It's not
Think
even
woman.
that. It's
Yeah.
just hey, we're rebooting this.
Hi-yo.
Here's what would happen in this alternate universe if these 4 women decided to create Ghostbusters. That's how, and this
Yeah.
is how I work with every comic book movie, everything.
Right.
If you ever try to compare a goddamn movie to the comic book or the book, you're gonna hate it.
Yeah.
You're gonna hate
See,
it.
it's
So I just look at it as an alternate universe. In every single movie that I watch, it's an
Yeah.
alternate universe. That way I don't get mad.
See, I don't go that far, but I do like. Both of you have said things that I like about attitude-wise about Ghostbusters and Ninja Turtles. We're always on about this kind of thing.
Yeah,
like,
well, we typically we play the positive side of things for the most part.
for
like
the most
we're
part, yeah. With all this
I
new
mean,
amazing media that we're
if-
all of us nerds are privy to.
yeah,
now.
there are 2 things that I am worried about with the new Ghostbusters movie. It has nothing to do with the casting. It has nothing to do with the gender of the cast. It has everything to do with one.
But if you say that online, nobody believes you.
Right.
You instantly hate women.
Yeah.
Even just saying that much.
The first thing is that mainstream comedies now versus mainstream comedies then are a completely different genre of movie.
Yes.
Like if you watch the new Vacation movie, which I haven't seen, I've seen bits and pieces. It's just stylistically something that's very different than what rings true to my aesthetic or
Yes.
my style. And my fear is that for a quick buck, they're going to push more in the direction of
Right.
the Vacation remake, and less trying to capture whatever essence was great about
For sure.
the originals. The second thing is, just because you can make something visually doesn't mean you need to.
Right.
And right now we're just in that age of we can make every building fall apart in slow motion, and we can zoom in on a speck of dust on a brick that's falling from this building.
Yeah.
And before you could do that in a movie visually, if you could afford to blow up a building, awesome. Otherwise, like, you just make the story work for what you have.
Yeah.
And now that we don't rely on that anymore, it's the story's got to be there, but it doesn't have to be there like it used to have to be there.
Right,
Yeah,
and you're
right,
exactly right.
right.
And that's what I've been trying. I got in Dan Aykroyd's thread when he had talked about how much he loved the new movie. People were bashing him, and other people were like, "This man's a legend, shut up." And that's something I talked about on there when I stupidly got involved in this thread. Is first of all, none of you guys know what it takes to make a Hollywood movie.
Right.
It's not just one person that makes this. It's 1,000 people's hands that it goes through, producers and all of these things, as well as
a movie that size, it's well over 1,000.
Well, and it's also it's like
crazy.
When did we start expecting summer blockbusters to be Shakespeare?
Right. Yeah.
The internet came out, and all of a sudden, every single action flick, all of a sudden, people were mad. I just the characters and the dialogue, and I'm like, who gives a shit? That building blew up and it was fucking awesome. And Michelangelo came out and nunchucked somebody, and it's a popcorn. It's that's what they call them, popcorn movies, because that's all it is. So why do we get so mad? Like this nerd generation, especially when they're rebooting our childhood things, that we're like, it's a lose-lose situation, because if you do it shot for shot, how dare you do this shot for shot? You change anything, how dare you change anything?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it is a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, well,
like,
and that has to do with like the democratization of being able to voice your opinion immediately in the height of your anger. Anonymously. Which
Thanks,
is just
MySpace.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tom.
That's right.
Thanks,
God,
ICQ.
Tom. Jeez. Yeah. Well, this has been good. Thank you guys so much for coming. What are we at hour or time wise?
I don't
hour
have
10, hour 15.
Something like that.
I think we're like.
But
right
we haven't done
there.
this in a while. What are you guys listening to as far as music?
Yeah.
It's fun to ask like people that like don't make music unless you do. I mean,
Well, we do make music.
Yeah.
We have our side project, The Lucky Bastards.
Oh, nice.
It's a comedy
very cool.
rap. Did you bring any of those?
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
I'd like to get you guys some CDs, but you can find us on SoundCloud.
Cool.
Just look
Very
up The
cool.
Lucky Bastards. Yeah, we do a side. We're actually looking to record, hopefully, a new album. We did a mixtape, so we used old beats, and so we just gave it away for free. So we're trying to find somebody who can make us some beats. So anybody out there listening, if you can hook us up with some fresh beats,
Send your beats.
let us know. Because we'd like to make a whole new album.
Bears,
We did,
beats,
like a
Battlestar
Star Wars
Galactica.
rap battle and all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah.
But what am I listening to right now? If you got something. Oh well, I do. I'm gonna tell you right now. One of my new. This is going to be like the nerdiest of nerd things, but I am a massive Monkees fan.
Oh, nice.
And
How odd.
This was the first concert I ever went to back in 1986. And I love the show. I own it all. I can't wait for it all to come out on Blu-ray. Like, I'm a huge Monkees fan. I own all their LPs.
Yeah.
And they're celebrating their 50th anniversary. So concert in Indianapolis is Sunday. I'm going Sunday to go see them.
Oh.
Whoop, whoop.
Righteous.
It's just Peter and
Nice.
Mickey right now because Mike's writing a book or something and Davey's dead.
It happens.
But the new album that just came out is fun.
Do you like it?
I love it. Those two songs that we listened to are the worst songs on the album.
I listened to it when I drove up to Michigan the other day.
I absolutely love
I
it.
didn't care for it much.
Oh man, which
What's
surprises
funny
me
about that?
because you're
Driving
such
up to
a
Michigan? I mean, I wonder how many people on Earth right now are discussing the merits of the new Monkees.
Oh well, it's number one right. It's number one right now, so it's
really?
doing really
Okay.
well. Yeah,
Well, that's good.
they're talking about how the Monkees are redefining music again.
Oh, well, there you go.
because they got all kinds of cool producers and people writing like Rivers from Weezer wrote a song. Ben
Nice.
Lee wrote a song. And all this. There's some really great people that are writing the songs. Plus, there's a cut from the '60s that never made it to an album that has Davey on it that they've remastered and done.
cool.
Which is awesome. But my two favorite songs on there, one of them's written by Ben Lee, is the first one is Me and Magdalena, which is sung by Michael Nesmith and Mickey, and it's awesome. It's such a pretty song. And then the other one is Mike wrote it, and it's just another ballad. But those two songs are so incredible. And just the whole album, like, it's such a good summer album. Like, I have a pool at my apartment complex, and I just pump it through the Bluetooth speaker, and everybody at the
There
pool
you
loves
go.
it. And they're
There
like,
you go.
crank it up. And it's the
Yeah.
Monkees, as old dudes. But it's got this fresh new sound to it. And, there's a couple tunes that are like cheesy, summery, goofy tunes. But, a good bit of that album really surprised me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's the producer or the writers or what, but I was very fascinated because their last album, which was called Just Us, which was like 12, 15 years ago, was terrible.
Really?
It was
just
awful.
them.
It was just them. That's why it's called Just Us. It was all four of them, and they wrote the songs, and
Okay.
they obviously had no money, and
Yeah.
like it was poorly done, and it
Yeah.
was just awful. And I was like, oh god, these guys have lost their touch because I'm a believer because they became great musicians, And
I'm a believer.
Peter and Mike were already musicians, and so but this album is really really good,
Nice.
and so I tell everybody check it out, especially me and Magdalena. It's my favorite song.
Yeah. Wait, and what's the record called again?
It's called Good Times. I think.
Times. Okay.
Yeah,
I think that's right.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't listen to my taste is kind of eclectic, but these guys would probably disagree with that. Only because I listen to similar things when I'm around you guys. I got a couple of things that are always in my rotation. I love the Beach Boys. I'm always listening to the Beach Boys.
Nice.
I love Sinatra. I'm always listening to Sinatra and other singers of that genre.
Yeah.
My favorite band is Saves the Day, so I'm always listening to Saves the Day.
Yeah.
And then I had that new Justin Timberlake song is so good.
It's good. The one from the Trolls movie.
I haven't heard it.
It's
I haven't
so
heard that.
good,
Dude, it's the best new summer song like I've ever heard.
Dude.
Like it's very similar to Happy, like how that got
Okay.
everybody real
Yeah.
hyped.
Yeah.
This
Very
is
positive.
such a because it's for an animated movie.
Sure.
I mean,
Okay.
it's really good.
Dude, Justin Timberlake's the man.
yeah,
he really
he's
is.
the man.
He's like there's like this kind of off topic, but Justin Timberlake related. There's really only a couple of people that come to mind for me when I think of somebody who's a true entertainer.
Yeah.
Somebody who can do it all. He can dance,
Yep.
act, sing. He's everybody thinks he's good looking.
Yep.
And there's the only other person that immediately comes to mind for me every time is Neil Patrick Harris. He can do everything. He can do everything.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
and like if you told like honestly, if you
Yeah.
told me that from this point forward Neil Patrick Harris is hosting every single award show for the
sure.
rest of eternity, I'd be like, I'm cool with
Okay.
that. I'm fine
Yeah.
with that. That's good.
Yeah.
But then it's funny that you brought up Weezer because they dropped a new album not too long ago
Yes.
that I
Yeah.
really like.
The White Album.
Yeah.
Dude.
And,
Yeah, Weezer is one of the all-time greats.
Yeah.
They are. I didn't like their last few albums. Well, they've released so many within the last few years.
Yeah.
Don't you be talking about that Red album.
No, I can talk about the Red album.
The Red Album was a while back though.
It was a little while
Yeah.
back. See, I don't know where like Hurley falls in and
Right.
the
I think
false middle-
Ratitude and
Ratitude.
Hurley were between red and,
White. And then the one with the big monster walking through the
Yeah.
the mountains
There's
on the
been-
cover.
I think I missed one or two.
There's
actually.
been like 20 albums in like
There's
the
been
last
a
4
few,
years. The Red Album and Ratitude, both of those albums, I think half of the albums are really good.
Oh, okay.
And the other half is just kind of like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second half of Red album was lacking.
Yes, I agree
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And so what I tend to do with those two albums is just take the two halves and put them
Put
together.
'em together.
Yeah, totally.
Make
but-
yourself a record.
But the other albums that they've released around Ratitude and the Red Album
Yeah.
have been kind of whatever for me. And this new one, I was like, okay, this is really good and
Yeah.
really solid.
Back to the shack. That's what we're back there.
Yeah.
We're there.
So I'm glad that they put that out.
That's a good summery album too.
It
It's
is. It
very
really
summery
is.
and
It
like
really
fun. Yeah.
Which maybe
a
ties
good
into
record.
him writing a song for the Monkeys. that has a
Oh
very
yeah, could
similar
be. It's
feel.
got that surf.
and how
sort
about
of-
that
yeah.
Neil Cicada, right? Right, guys.
Right.
You guys cool. Engelbert Humperdinck,
I listen
Enrique Iglesias.
I listen to that new block.
The new
The new block.
No,
really
my
makes me
problem
move in
is
my
that I
britches.
got Apple Music recently, so I'm like really discovering so much older I've always been an
yeah.
older music lover, like jazz and
Yeah.
Motown and classic rock and things like that, and so that's where I've been living lately because Apple Music creates 3 playlists for you a day.
Oh wow.
That's
And it's
pretty wild.
really interesting, the playlists
Yeah.
that come at me.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's based off what I listen to because I listen to a lot of different genres.
Sure.
But man, some of them I'm like, ooh, or one of the playlists might be a band's influences.
Oh,
So it's a
okay.
playlist
Yeah, yeah.
of all of their influences. Or there's there was one that was called Silky Soul from the 70s, and I was
Nice.
like, hell yeah. So I've been listening to a lot of Marvin Gaye,
Yeah.
I love older music, and I'm a sucker for like New Jack Swing, 90s R&B. That was my
Yeah. Yeah.
that was
Jack
my
Swing,
jam.
motherfucker.
Yeah, coming at you, New Jack Swing.
Yeah, that's what
Nice.
we're listening to.
That's
what are you
awesome.
guys listening to?
I don't know.
I don't know. We don't.
Our
Nobody,
listeners
nobody
don't care.
cares.
We're
Nobody
listening
cares
to
what we're-
Kraftwerk.
Yeah. No, I have been listening to that Weezer record you talked about. That was very good.
Yeah,
Very, very good.
cool.
Very
Yeah.
fun. So, yeah,
I
totally.
don't, have I?
Nothing.
I'm trying to think. Have I?
Probably
You
not.
know? Maybe
he sits
not.
here and writes music all day, and so then when he leaves,
It's-
he doesn't really listen
true.
to music. So
That's true.
Yeah.
There's something. Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves.
Well,
yeah,
that's
Lisa
what-
Lisa Hannigan's got. You know who Lisa Hannigan is? She worked with Damian Rice.
Okay.
On his first 2 albums. She's got her own stuff. She's got a new song that just dropped today that's really good. And she's Irish, and it's just that cool indie folk.
Cool.
It's really good. I was listening to it on the way here.
Nice.
It's good. Lisa Hannigan.
I've been listening to the Jessica Jones original soundtrack
All
by
right.
Sean
Okay.
Callery. It's pretty cool. It's got like a noir kind of feel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it
I'm
does.
a
Yeah, it does.
I'm a film score nerd.
Yeah, no,
so.
I am too. Actually, we play a game called Academy Awards where we use film score, and so I listen to a lot of film scores. There's
Nice.
some really
Oh, yeah.
good, solid pieces that are out there.
I finally. It took me. Well, 31 years. No, but it took me a while to admit that I like pop music.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I've accepted
You
that
get
now.
to a
Yeah.
point where you're like, a nicely crafted pop song is.
Oh, yeah.
It
Right.
is, and so I'm gonna put. I have not said this publicly to anybody. So this
Oh, here it is.
This is
I already
breaking news
know.
right here.
Here it is.
exclusive.
This is an exclusive. I like Meghan Trainor.
Okay.
I really like Meghan
Okay.
Trainor.
I can't help but like her too.
I like Megan's trainer.
But let me just say, if your only experience with Meghan Trainor is all about that bass, you're missing out.
Okay.
But here's the thing: is she just put out a new album?
I haven't listened. I haven't heard it yet. I've just heard the one single.
I don't like it. Like
Okay.
everything.
What about the one that sounds like straight up like 2001?
which one are you talking about?
I don't know.
Because she
only
put
one-
out
the No song. Or
yeah. See, I didn't care for that.
it sounds like Destiny's Child.
It does sound like Destiny's
Yeah.
Child.
Straight up.
But everything I loved about that breakout album for her, which was all of the doo-wop inspiration.
Yeah, very
I'm a big
much so.
50s guy. I love doo-wop. It's all gone. It's all gone. And I'm just like,
Okay, that's a bummer.
now you just sound like all of the other pop singers.
Yeah, you gotta. I mean,
Gotcha.
even if you are transitioning, you gotta
Right.
like. You gotta.
Yeah, every once in a while, one
gotta pepper
sneaks
that
up on you. You like Sam Smith got me. Like I like his album from start to finish. Like, and I haven't liked a new artist like that in a long time. And I guess it's because when it first came out, I didn't like the song. I was like, oh god, it's another pop song, and you know. And I've got a stepdaughter, and she's just like, oh my god, and I'm like, oh, this is crap. And then I was listening to NPR, like the old man that I am, and he was on there. And so he was talking about being a gay man and like how this was about a guy that he was trying to actually be with. Like the whole album is about unrequited love. And I was like, wow, this kind of changes everything. Like how much emotion was behind it. And so I just listened to the whole album and it completely changed me on this guy.
That's
He's
the thing.
amazing.
That's the thing, man. If you hear people talking about making their records or something, that will change your perspective.
Completely change it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It made me even love like his James Bond, the Spectre song was so good because I was already like, ooh, Sam Smith is doing it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So I'll be excited to see his follow-up album. Sophomore albums are tough, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think maybe I need to listen to Meghan Trainor talk about how she made her song.
Whatever. She was like, well, we had these guys that wrote everything, and I came in, they auto-tuned me.
Hey,
and
here's the point I finally reached. I finally reached that point of, and maybe this makes me an asshole, but I was like, you know what? I don't give a fuck if you wrote it or not. If the song's good and I like it and I enjoy it, that's all that matters to
Right.
me.
Yeah.
If it sounds good to me, if I can sing along to it,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I
Totally.
mean, we as humans like pleasant human sounds,
Right.
You know,
And if
you're
you
making
and
those,
if you are the singer and you didn't write it, well, then I'm glad that whoever did, you guys could come together and create this great.
Yeah,
product for
there
me
is
to
a little
listen
bit
to.
of a bias. Like, I mean, we wouldn't be like, oh, Bill Murray was great in Ghostbusters, but he didn't even direct it.
Right.
Like, he didn't even. He just showed up and acted.
I did. I've never thought
That
about
isn't
that.
even-
Oh, he didn't direct it.
God, I knew this guy in college in my theater department, dude. He was the director for every show, and he cast himself as the lead in every single show because it was a very small college, the first college I went to. Oh, and we all hated him because he was up the professor's butt because there was
Yeah.
only one theater professor
Nice.
there, but that's exactly what it reminds me
I don't
of.
even know if that counts as nepotism. That's
Well, it's
so,
like, how do you direct yourself? And he's like, no, I'm doing fine.
No.
Let me see. Do I have any notes for myself? No. Stellar performance.
I'm serious, dude, man. For
man.
like 3 years, dude. Every play he was the lead in.
That's hilarious.
So I feel like your music question was probably supposed to just be a wrap-up 2-second thing. But
No.
sorry about that.
No.
We're
Whatever direction
long-winded.
it goes.
it goes where it goes. It goes.
Absolutely
It goes
fine.
where it goes.
But I do want you guys to plug stuff that's coming up. This won't go up for probably a week and a half or something. We got another episode.
yeah,
in the
we've
can
got a
before
more
this, so-
important
Okay.
episode.
Dates wise, I
Sure.
just wanted to make you aware of that. But
Just kidding.
yeah.
Well, I mean,
hear
we'll pump our June show just in case.
Totally,
The
yeah.
June show is June 18th.
Cool.
Live at the Bardstown at 7:30. Tickets are $10. All our shows are always $10.
Sweet.
At 7:30 for the most part. And then our July show is July 16th. So opening weekend of Ghostbusters. We'll be back, and I'll be in that one. So it'll be all three of us. It's going to be
Nice.
an awesome show. And then
So the June show is the one you want to see since Stefan won't be there.
Yeah. Also, you can find us at our website, www.damngoodnation.com. That's damgoodnation.com. That has all our links, social media, and all that stuff. So please follow us on Twitter at Damn Good Improv. All that stuff. Get good updates because we do music, we drop videos.
Totally.
Our Facebook feed is, we constantly get complimented throughout the improv community nationwide about how active our feed is.
Right, yeah.
So we're always pumping stuff on there. And, of course, our podcast.
Totally.
Yeah. The
Tell
Damn
'em.
Good podcast.
Yeah, Damn
Totally.
Good Podcast.
You can find it as a part of the DNN.
Yeah, at destinationcomics.com.
That's right. I think
Yep.
we're supposed to be on there. now,
Finally,
too.
yeah. When I was
I
at
think
the
we're on
board
there.
meeting, I was like, guys, we need to get them on there.
Yeah.
So pretty sure you guys are on there now. But yeah, so you can find us there or iTunes, of course, for free.
Totally.
Damn Good Podcast.
Or Stitcher.
Or Stitcher.
Or Stitcher.
Yeah.
Or if
If you're that weird Libsyn person, you can just go straight
just
to
go
Libsyn.
straight there. Yeah.
I only listen to podcasts
Straight to
on
the
Libsyn.
source.
or Stefan will like download them and burn them to a CD.
Yeah, for road trips. But yeah, or also, like we said, we do music. Go on SoundCloud, look up Lucky Bastards. I think we're the only, we might be one or two, but you'll see the three of us, the
Yeah.
Lucky Bastards. And we've got
With
4
a Z.
songs on there. We've thought about it, dude. We really did.
Hindsight.
We really did. But yeah, check it out. We've got some great songs on there. I mean, we are trying to saturate every bit of media that we can.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we've got our YouTube channel, YouTube / I think it's Damaged Goods Improv. I mean, we've got a really cool thing on there called Disaster Prepper. We did a mockumentary of those disaster preppers.
Oh, nice.
We've got a music video. Just look up Extra Beef on
Yeah.
YouTube. I mean, we are constantly, sometimes we put shows up there, but improv doesn't translate very well. But yeah, come to our shows,
Sweet.
man. We give away free stickers, free CDs. It's a lot of fun.
Come for the comedy, stay for the free shit.
Yeah,
There you go.
stay for the free shit.
Killer.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and we perform at least once a month at the Bardstown. So if you don't remember any of this, just look up the Bardstown's website.
Yeah.
so
Yeah, for
we're
sure.
on there.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much.
Did you guys want to plug anything for yourselves?
Listen, rewind this podcast and listen to it one more time.
Yeah.
And other than that, I'm not doing anything.
Will, take your finger out of your butt.
Oh man,
and Rocky,
well,
we miss you.
I got through. Yeah, we will definitely have you all back in full force.
Yeah, we would love to have you guys
So
come on
we
sometime
will-
too.
We will definitely do that.
But no,
So.
when you come on with us, it's a bitch.
Sounds good.
Hey,
We'll
Will.
see you there. Yeah.
Do you get it? Because you
No,
you
understand.
plugged your butt with your thumb.
Oh, I see. That's a good end note.
Okay.
Keep that image, folks.
Okay. Bye.
All right, bye.
Butt plugs.
Thank you for listening, DNN.